going on top of her with your God's Strand up and running, it's a bit of a pipe dream. He's very kiteable with the heroes you have on hand from Entity. So I'm guessing this is just going to be the sport for Raji. We're going to have the Narman Rubik. You're just going to go all in and trying to be extra durable against the Lina. Maybe get a safe lane here that can go for something like AC. And it's kind of like the Faceless Void where you don't have the output. Right? Like Void up against these high armor heroes doesn't do much in Chrono. Lina can still play with Magical Burst, which is why the Sven as a counterpoint isn't the best, but in some circumstances it can work.
10 seconds.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not completely sold on it, but I can see the logic of it.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
Entities turn to ban. Seconds remaining.
I'd say yes. I'd say yes. First 15 minutes are absolutely bad for the Terrorblade, 15 to 20. But past 20 with a couple of stat items, you feel a lot better. Your issue on the TB is your EHP scales really badly because your strength isn't there. You have really good base armor, so every point of strength actually is so effective on the Terrorblade. But the issue is you don't have much of that early game. So you're very susceptible to the burst plays here on Entity. I think the DP is actually a really tough lane for the Terrorblade. You can just get run down to the magical damage. You're very dependent on just having your Metamorphosis up to play that lane on the off lane. So I think you already have a pretty decent matchup here for Entity. That like DP tiny lane up against Terrorblade. Once Metamorphosis is down, like you get run down with the magical burst. Skem has to watch his spacing there. But you hit this timing with, say, Dragonlance Scotty, BKB, and suddenly that Terrorblade has a lot of EHP, a hell lot of armor from his natural base armor, along with his Sven Warcry. That if Lina doesn't burst you down with her spells in Laguna, you're going to survive. You're going to be able to hit back, and you will be able to get kills.
Remaining. Radiant team back. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Entities turn to pick. Radiant team pick.
Sven stands ready. Disruptor! Terrorblade.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, he's... I don't think it's a great Viper game. I'm not seeing that many heroes left for him. Like, there's some odd stuff like, say, a Mars that can come out for him.
Focus, guys. Focus,
He's played stuff like Magnus. Doom, perhaps, could actually be alright, but the lane matchup's also not the best. It's a bit difficult. I think you kind of backed yourself into corner with your Batrider now, because Batrider versus DP lane is really good for DP unless you extremely misplay and you get like several napalm stacks on top of you while being run down by Firefly. But for the DP, you can stand a bit further back, play with Crypt Swarm. You're probably not going to get too much value out of your Spirit Siphon in that mid lane matchup, but you can make it work. They will go with a Kotl, so they are running the off lane Batrider here, avoiding the DP matchup, and that's fair because Cox would not have a game up against Stormstormer there. But now Force up against Watson on Lina. Batrider versus Lina's, again, not the easiest time, especially with Fishman around to protect. He's got the wall to cut you off. He's got the glimpse back. You can try for the lift and just running down, but Alina's Alina. She's got decent move speed. Fiery Soul hits level 2. Chasing her down is a lot harder. I don't know if you have enough pressure on Force to really set up for the team. Mind you, Cock should take a much more active position here. He was active in the last game. I think the Kotl timings are a lot sharper. He's going to be online a lot quicker. Travels or in Spirit Vessel, you're going to be ready to go and just give your team that space it needs. I'm just wondering how long it will take for Force to commit to these fights. Yep. I think the condition for Geek Slate's just to win out their lanes a lot harder. Like, they just need to get this overwhelming start. They have to find a way to slow down Watson, prevent that Lina from farming up, because if it does, your answer in the TB will take time. Like, the answer is there, but it will take time to build into that point. And now you don't really have a clear way of stopping the Enigma outside of stealing Black Hole yourself, which is fair. Like, they pick Enigma into Rubik. Still not the easiest game for Toby either. So you've got some answers back and forth here for both sides. I would say when it comes to execution, it's honestly hard to say. I think both drafts are actually really even in terms of difficulty to execute, in terms of the timings they might want to hit. Maybe a little bit easier for Geek Slate just because I see the Keeper of Light going off to this overwhelming start. It's so hard to see a Kotl get thrown off from Travels and Earn timing that once that's up, Cox should be able to just run around and play with his two supports, get aggressive early on. The one thing as Kotl here as well is, with a Sven support, you kind of cover one of its weaknesses in terms of no armor. Like, Warcry actually covers your Kotl really well in these engagements.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I think the Warcry is going to have heaps of value here, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a lot of armor. Just whether it does enough is my question. We don't really have to answer that question because we're going to see it very, very soon. They might run into each other here for this level 1 timing. It seems like Geek Slate are the ones that really want to try and force a fight right now, and Kotl is one of those heroes that can dish out a hell of a lot of damage at level 1. Just the Illuminated alone. Never really want to fight into it if you can. But they'll just split up for now though. Geek Slate trying to split up and try to secure more boundaries for themselves. Watson, meanwhile, will show up topside onto Force. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounties. Just a bit of harassment being traded each way now, though Watson may get caught out in a bit of an awkward position because a lot of sticky napalm can come out now onto Watson. Chase is on from Force. There will be a light strike array being landed, and meanwhile Narman getting glimpsed back to make sure that Force has no help incoming. Force still chasing down Watson for another right click. Is going to connect, but won't be able to keep going for a kill attempt. So a lot of damage being dealt the way of that +1 Lina.
Yep, she already has the full magic wand up though. So she has a lot of stats with 3 Iron Branches on top of that, a good amount of charges to play with. They are constantly glimpsing Narman away, but that is cutting that lane off. We are taking a look at the bot lane though. Kataomi, Toby up against Raji and Skem. This should be a pretty balanced lane. There is a kill threat onto Skem once he hits, say, level 2 in Kataomi. And Toby can fall through to Malphus. That is a good amount of early magic damage to each Skem. But Raji can always cut off. He'll put his body forward, he'll cop the ganks, he'll cop the hits. And as long as he does his job in that sense, doesn't leave that lane, you can get what you want there.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Like he was trying to go for a big pull to help Force out, but is now going to lose half the creep wave. So, I mean, you can still set a little bit of creep equilibrium their way, but ultimately not too much. Geek Slate already off to a bit of a rough start here in the off lane. the other lane's going though. Like mid lane, Cox versus Stormstormer. You kind of pointed out that Cox should have a decent enough time on this mid coddle, and well, for now he is 8-1. Stormstormer though not having a bad time either. 9-3, top of the CS board at the moment of the Death Prophet. And it seems like he should be, like, unless he gets caught by a rogue Illuminate, he should be just fine to continue his own farm up. Of course, for Cox, we've seen the mid coddle many times. You rush bit to travel, you go into the urn, into the spirit vessel, and then you just start roaming the map.
Yeah, just get active early. I don't see Stormstormer really stopping that timing out from Cox. They could try with a really aggressive support rotation, like Disruptor plus Tiny can actually set up really nicely for that. Keep the Coddle in one spot, get the full use of Spirit Siphon, get the Crypt Swarm spam on top of that as well. And that is one way for you to kind of get going there. But it shouldn't be a priority. It doesn't feel like you need to care too much about the mid. You just need to enable your side lanes. You need to shut down Scam and enable Watson more than anything else. They're already establishing that in a really good way. Watson just having a pretty good lane. Batrider again just doesn't do anything here. And I like that Fishman just went for Kinetic Field along with Glimpse. Like, you just can't run in. You can't commit on the side of GEEK SLATE. Even onto Fishman. Like, you can't go for the Disruptor and look for that kill attempt because he's always got to save. And there's just no way to gap close onto Watson. So you just give the freest lane possible to that Lina.
It's a very unique skill build, but I do agree with you, John. It's very clever by Fishman. I mean, sure, like the static, or rather Thunderstrike with the right clicks is usually very effective in terms of harass, but if your only objective is to keep Watson alive, this is the way to do it. Hell, Thunderstrike kind of feels useless after a little bit. Want it for the vision. Kataomi, he'll go for a bit of a chase into Rogi. Gonna amount to much, though, just fighting over the 3-minute power, rather bounty rune timing. At least Kataomi does get himself a nice D ward though. That'll be nice. And even blocks the medium camp there for Cox. There's one thing that Coddles love doing is just farming the jungle after they've pushed out the mid creep wave. But now he'll be lacking one of the stacks. In fact, he's lacking 2 of them. 2 camps blocked right now for Cox.
That's counterplay. That's how you stop that Coddle with the overwhelming farm. They need to get some D-wards out. Raji needs to be able to get control back in that jungle, because this will starve out Cox from that timing. The Travels is going to be a bit slower. The Urn, the Spirit Vessel timings are going to be thrown off by a minute or 2. And that minute or 2 is enough for Entity to find an opening. It's enough for them to run down with the Exorcism and Stormstormer, commit an objective with the Eidolon spam from Toby. And once you lose a little bit of control on that map, suddenly you're going to feel a bit starved out on the TB and the Coddle. They're going to have to share farms somewhere.
Lane. I thought maybe but not quite. Both sides standing very close to each other. So 0-1 so far, almost 5 minutes into the game. Very, very quiet thus far in this game number 2. Because both drafts are kind of those mid-game snowballing kind of drafts, though, to be fair. I really appreciate how much emphasis is being put on making sure Cox does not have a good game, I must say. That Cox has had to buy 2 sentry wards already. A bit annoying for the mid-coddle because he just slowed down those timings a little bit as Armin. Top lane, let's get caught out and we'll go down to the Rubik. He is giving space to Force to get that farm on the Batrider, but now a glimpse back, Watson. I don't understand here, though Force still running. Watson never gets that start off.
It's not a great time up top. Like, Force is keeping up decently enough in comparison to Watson, but you do feel like the lane's getting so much more from that lane. And going back to your point with Cox, like, this is not a good feeling if you are Cox. Like, his lane, he's getting out-farmed from by the DP now just from that little movement out. They tried to line up for the 6-minute power rune here as well, but you've also got the numbers coming in from Entity. Raji's actually just going to be TPing out to help top here.
They need something. I mean, Fishman is going to get caught. Should go down. Oh no! Stick charges! Oh boy, it won't matter. As the flame break is going to be alright to secure the kill. But it does show you how desperate they are. Like, that's only a pos 5 disruptor going down. And it's like, you've got to just get these rotations going to find something. Salvage the top lane in some fashion. And in the meantime, Storm has been pushing the mid lane with the exorcism
Radiant structures are fortified.
pretty much by himself. Cox is being chased down right now by Kataomi. In fact, Fishman, he's going to show up as well. They would really love the coddle, though. Stormer, he's dropping too low. Uh-oh. He could not get in range for a siphon. And so all these rotations, all these gank attempts from Entity ends up giving the DP's life away.
Really now?
And that kind of helps Cox to bounce back in. Does need, again, a little bit more to start into the travels, but he's inching towards it. The Urn's going to be a little bit late, a minute or two, but it does feel like, despite that, and the impact is negligible. As long as it's sub 10 minutes, should still be lined up. The one big thing right now for the side of GEEK SLATE is Scam's lane is going fantastic. Like, he is doing really well in his solo lane. He's building up. The Terrorblade is enabled. The Lina is also enabled. But your window to be effective against Terrorblade again is a little bit sharper. You want to be in control 20 minutes in to shut down the Terrorblade. If he manages to farm stats items, like 2 stats items ups, it gets a little bit tricky for the Lina to melt you. Your armor is just piled on. Cox will be looking to try to suppress that Lina as this game goes on here as well. So for Entity, the slower game, it's a little bit painful for them to deal with. Like, the first exit from Stormer as well only does a little bit of chip damage on the mid. Still relatively healthy here for the side of GEEK SLATE. And for GEEK SLATE, they're starting to clump up top. They want to make a move onto Watson. They want to be more aggressive onto that safe lane that caused them so many issues in game 1.
See what they can get done. I mean, Watson does back off at the right moment because they've got plenty of vision in that top lane to scout out this happening. Scam will just go right after the T1 top tower and should have it pretty easily with the meta. Force Narman, they'll rotate into the dire jungle to try and interrupt Watson's farm, and they're doing a decent job of it. Certainly a few creeps away with the Fade Bolt, but Fishman's going to join in as well, make sure they can't just take these creeps for free. In the end, it seems like Watson will be just fine to take them himself. So they know where the Lina is. It's just a matter of, can you infiltrate the dire jungle right now to take down this? And the answer seems to be kind of no. Like, without Cox ready to go, you're not going to be able to really infiltrate that dire jungle. And speaking of Cox, he's getting caught out right now. Kataomi in with the avalanche toss. Cox going to just try and outrun them with the Spirit Siphon. And he is going to be fine to do so. Problem is, they have lost that mid tier 1 tower.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
They get the objective they need on Entity anyway. They play off the back of Stormer. They get a little bit more controlled airway to inch onto that bot jungle. Oh, Force.
Lasso is there, but it's only on Fishman, and he's going to try and gets it. Oh, that's rough. That's tough.
That's not a good feeling for Force. He's had a bit of a back and forth lane, but hasn't been able to get that first lasso off successfully. The numbers come in for Entity, so they can back up Watson, and they just back off. Unfortunate for Force, but really dicey position to be forced into lassoing right next to the stacked up creep wave, where the creep camps. And you are starting to get to that point where Cox is ready to go. His urn is almost farmed up. Should be flying out now. So he'll just need a charge and he'll be online. They just need to find that angle. Like, as long as Watson's farming up top, for the most part, I don't think Entity cares too much. Like, you're still getting progression on Toby to go into the Guardian Greaves. It's still an enigma. He's still ahead of Force. Force is still bottom network core. He's got some room in the triangle to clear out these Ancients at the least. So there's going to be some good flash farm for Force here, stacking up the napalms, but he's got to make use of it. He is going for the drums, so he wants some early presence here in these fights. Should be joining in a lot more in this game in comparison to game 1.
Let's hope so. 2-2. 2k advantage to Entity. Net worth is skyrocketing right now for Watson and Stormer, so both their cores doing just fine. Scam falling a little bit behind in terms of that TB farm, and he's sacrificing his own farm to allow Force to get that initial farm up on the Bat Rider, but this is where things kind of went wrong last game. Mind you, it's not like the TB would really be able to stack those, or rather take those ancient stacks anyway, but, you know. Nevertheless. It feels like the Entity side just getting way too much farm at the moment. Like, 5.8k net worth on the DP, 4.9 on the Lina. You know, Maelstrom also almost up on Watson. Just allows him to get involved in fights once he has the Maelstrom up as well. Skem going to show up top lane. Sees Kataomi, can't really do much about him. Naaman is there if they wanted to try and make a play, but even then I don't think they really have enough for the Tiny.
No.
And don't forget, John, you are playing against an Enigma, right? Like, so if we're talking late game, Enigma is one of the keys.
The one thing is that you do have that foil. They're making a move on Cox here.
That they are. Static Storm is going to land. Cox has nowhere to go, and that's another big kill. Cox is about 400 gold off having that Spirit Vessel available. It is very delayed now, and it's just going to be even more delayed at this point. He just can't catch the farm.
It's just difficult. Like, he's had the urn for a while. They haven't been able to get a kill off the back of it. Their jump is just limited. They might be able to jump Watson, you know.
Well, that's a big one. They've got the lasso. Watson eventually should just fall and will. Force will pick up the kill. And that's more of what you want to see here from GEEK SLATE, as they do even push in the mid-tier 1 tower. Skep popping the Metamorphosis to make sure this can happen. And it will. Tier 1 tower to go down. Watson to go down. Happy days for GEEK SLATE.
Yep, they managed to equalize map control, so they can invade a lot better on the top jungle. They can try to make some aggressive moves forward. They have a good ward watching the Ancients being stacked up here as well. So at some point they can attempt that invasion there. And a rather even game, a rather medium-paced game. Right now, 3-3, 2k lead up. Force just getting poked a little bit, but not going to really be committed. No follow-through for Kataomi. For GEEK SLATE now, it's at the point where you really hunker down on Skem. Right? You just allow this Terrorblade to get his stat items up, get that Dragonlance, and allow him to get some EHP up, so when he shows in, he can handle that Lina for you. Smoke out now from GEEK SLATE. Full Spirit Vessel up.
Watson again, going to be targeted. He's a massive, massive one, though. It's going to be a smoke on smoke. They run right into each other. Rogi's the only one to get caught out right now. It's a bit of a mess in the dire triangle, but GEEK SLATE, they are backing off. They don't like it. This isn't the fight for them, apparently. They lose Rogi and they'll leave it at that. Though Naaman is still being chased down here by Stormstormer. They won't be able to keep up with the Disruptor.
I feel like you had an opportunity for GEEK SLATE to be much more aggressive there. Once that Static Storm faded, you had an angle in. They might be able to find some punishment here, but just a little bit too far to try to really fully chase. You still don't have any charges on Cox, which is really just the main awkward thing right now for GEEK SLATE. Like, he's had the urn, he's had the Spirit Vessel now. To be fair, the Spirit Vessel's still relatively fresh, but you want to get the charges up. You want to get that momentum going for this hero. Start to force a threat out, especially while the BKBs aren't anywhere near close to being done yet. But as that time gets pushed back, the BKBs start to become a reality that you'd have to face at some point, and that's when the Kotl starts to feel less impactful. With spell immunity up, he literally doesn't do damage. Just gonna be a walking creep on those long duration BKBs in the mid game.
Going back to your point as well, John, like you kind of mentioned the fact that you thought they could kind of capitalize off that last engagement. I agree with you. Like, especially because with Cox, like, he's got this vessel up with 0 charges. Like, it felt kind of important for them to keep that fight going, but they didn't, and well, now without the charges up, this Kotl doesn't do anything. Here we go. Another smoke out from Entity. Fishman wards down, looking for a glimpse back onto Cox, won't be able to find it. Still a big wraparound through the mid-river. They'll head up towards the top lane where they might run right into Rogi. Rogi with great positioning to break the smoke will do so, allowing Skem to try and run his way out on the Terrorblade, but Stormstormer kind of avoiding it for a moment. Meanwhile, Kataomi, he actually ends up fighting Naaman. It's a 2-for-1 special. They both get trapped in the Static Storm. Skem's still trying to go for the meta play, but can't really fight through this. Meanwhile, Kataomi barely survives. The Illuminate damage proving to not be enough. And John, I'd hate to say it, but there's still 0 Spirit Vessel charges on Cox.
They just haven't found a kill since picking up the urn. They've not been able to play around that. This is where the support duo coming out from Geek Slate really causes issues. Yes, you can counterplay well. There is a reasoning behind that Sven pick, but it's just not a lineup that gets aggressive. They will try and Storm Storm while he's alone.
They do. Stormer. He will go down. That's a big pick off here for Scam. It is the highest net worth on the board, so it's probably the biggest they could have gotten, but it's just hard to say that's enough for Geek Slate at the moment, because it's just, with the way this game's gone, like, you look at the way that Entity are moving right now, they just seem so much more confident.
Yeah, but you have to remember, right, like with the Terrorblade, it does take time to kick in, and we are still waiting for those stat items to be up. So you do want to play a little bit more passive, but only on Schem. Like Force and Cox have to make this move, and to be fair, Cox has been showing up, so has Force. But it's not been connecting. It's just so hard when you've got a Rubik and Sven as a support duo. They just don't get that instant jump in for the team. You will need to blink up on Force to really get control on these ganks. Once you have the Blink Lasso, which they do have now, you can easily scout out for those targets and commit a lot faster onto these heroes.
Can get it going now. I mean, they are grouped up here. Force, Roger, and Nam, and in fact, Cox is going to join. He'd love a charge on that Spirit Vessel. Problem is, BKB is now up on Watson, so this could be very, very bad timing for them. Narman holding a smoke, won't pop it yet. They are really moving. In the meantime, Roger's been caught. It's kind of one of those things, like you're either hunting or you're being hunted. And sadly for Geek Slate, they are being hunted.
They're just playing really passive. We talked about that timing of VKBs. With Watson having his up, Cox is just not going to be doing damage on that one hero. That's a big hero you really want to try to burst down in these fights. Roshan just being given away by Geek Slate as well. We have to see if this Gambit installing out for Scam and Force and Cox will pay off. Speaking of Scam, he's not in the safest spot here.
But he will back off the road. Still, Aegis will go the way of Entity. Watson holds the Aegis once again, working on towards his boots of travel now, so he's just going to be even more of a menace. But we are yet to see a black hole this game, I believe, from Toby. He just hasn't needed to throw it out at all.
Yeah.
How long do you think till we have a Spirit Vessel charge, by the way, John? Maybe now?
Hopefully you'd find one in the next 2 minutes. You'd want it within the next 2 minutes. Again, they've got this blink up in Force. They just need to drag someone back. Find a target. Any target. Even the Disruptor. Just have Cox around for it. And then you can start running them more. They get a good scan, but they're dancing around this.
Yeah, that they scan, but then they're not moving in. Okay, the Watson's right there. Like, they can't see it. Watson's running into them now. This is perfect.
They have a ward.
There's an Ops ward watching him right now. They'll make the jump in. Lasso's there. Problem is, he does have the Aegis, but they get the kill. Sadly, that doesn't count for the Spirit Vessel, by the way, John. Because it is just the Aegis.
Yeah.
Fishman.
A little bit too far anyway. Yeah.
Was he too far? Was that it?
I think so, but I'm not sure if it also counts for a charge, to be fair. Like, I never... You know, it's one of those interactions that's in the heat of the moment, so you don't tend to really see. I don't think it does. I think you're right, but I just haven't ever noticed, because it's just so tense when you take care of an Aegis. The one good news right now for the side of Geek Slate is your farm on Scam is escalating. He's keeping up with Lina. He's got his stat item in the Manta and the Dragonlance as well. So 1.9k HP, 33 armor. That's without the Warcry thing around. So he just needs more HP. If you can survive the initial burst with Lina, chances are you're going to survive through that entire fight, and you've always got the Sunder to play with. You're going for a little bit of a shove in top here as well. Fortify is there to stall, and they're also looking to shove down bot here with a DD on Watson, which is going to go a lot quicker. They should be able to find it evenly. They're rotating Watson up top.
Scam's been caught out. He will run. It's going to be okay. He's a tanky boy with all that armor. So even with the double damage on Watson, he couldn't quite burst him down as much as he wanted to. But he did get a lot of damage off. That's for sure. And Well, for Geek Slate again, they just, you know, it's like, what are they actually doing in this game? Like, it's a 2k advantage for Entity. It's not that big of a deal, but it just doesn't seem like Geek Slate, they haven't found any openings or they haven't got a game plan. I'm not really sure here, John, but they haven't made any plays happen.
I think it's more of openings. I think there is a game plan. I think they're playing around, just building up for this Terrorblade really well. But you haven't done enough to suppress the Lina, so she's at parity. And Lina at parity is not the worst thing in the world against a Terrorblade. She doesn't have the EHP to really stand up to the TB. Unless she just focuses in, like, literally Laguna, Dragon Slave, and LSA all onto the Terrorblade in very quick succession. And maybe you just have more magic damage around you as well. But in a vacuum, your Terrorblade will feel pretty darn good in that matchup. You're even forcing Watson right now to just go for the Lincoln, so he's not going to be a Sunder target, which is big in terms of cutting off what Skem would like to do in the middle of these fights. And that's going to cause some issues for Skem if he is caught out now. They're invading the top jungle quite nicely here in Geek Slate, but they're surrendering your bot jungle anyway to Entity. So their farm game is still building up. Stormer has the full Kaya Sanj, had it for a while, and they'll go on a smoke on smoke here.
Lane is where the action may break out. They completely avoid each other. Take the outpost back for now. Slate, they'll do the exact same thing. Completely avoiding each other for now. Roshan's still ages away from respawning, so you don't have that objective to play for. Just 4 to 7, 23.5 minutes in now. Skem the highest net worth on the board, which he was last game as well, to be fair. Skem's still doing his job as a POS 1. Farming very, very effectively. Meanwhile, 23.5 minutes in, still no Spirit Vessel charge.
Yeah.
So, we might break a record at some point, John, with how long this is going to be.
Radiant's top tower
Oh yeah.
is under attack.
I wouldn't be surprised if it would at some point.
Bottom tower is under attack.
And he could just have basically maybe full Octarine and Aeon Disc on Cox before he even finds the charge. I wouldn't be surprised by that at this rate. I get why both sides are playing defensive as well. Like, again, you want to build up on both ends. You're confident in your Lina, you're confident in your Terrorblade. It's just going to be down to execution. Right now, it just feels like Entity can execute a lot better, just because Geek Slate are just avoiding way too much. Like, they're just dodging out and stalling when they haven't been able to force any BKB, so it's still a 9-second duration on Watson. Coxon will do nothing for 9 seconds up against Alina. You've got a 9-second BKB on Stormer as well. Like, you're at the point where the Coddle, because no fights are breaking out, doesn't even have this got him with, say, lower duration BKBs here.
Big knock.
Aha!
Yeah, Cox. Well, they do toss him out of the Static Storm, but it doesn't really matter. He still just gets destroyed. At the very least, in the meantime, Skadi has been picked up by Skem, so this is the big timing of the Terrorblade. Massive power spike in terms of itemization, but well, the game is basically on his back at this point. Like, it's Skem versus the world.
Yeah, and if there's any hero that can, like, 1v5, Terrorblade is up there, and being able to do that for your team. So, he can be pretty much the entire output of his team right now. He has gone for, like, attributes now as well, just skipping Reflection, which is fair. I do feel like there is value in just having this slow on hand, but with a BKB up and running, you're probably not going to get the best use of Reflection here anyway. So you don't mind that too much. 3k lead standing for Entity. Full Lincolns for Watson. So again, something to block off the Sunder. They're chasing.
Bottom. What they got, it's going to be forcing the Bat Rider. There's your Black Hole. Like, it's like, if we're never going to commit Black Hole, I may as well just use it for these solo pickoffs. It's like, what's the point of holding on to it at this point for Toby?
Yep. Just get the kill, back off. You know you're probably not going to need it in the next team fight anyway. Roshan, half a minute away until we see that timer. So if Geek Slate are lucky, they could find a nice timing for Roche. They're ready with the Metamorphosis on Skem here as well. They know Black Hole would be down in that window. They could take a pretty nice fight in the pit.
Is under attack.
Let's see if they're lucky in a few seconds here. Entity. I mean, it's a 4K lead. It's held steady for a while. Roshan respawn is a little bit longer. Geek Slate. It's mildly frustrating that they just aren't aggressive with a Coddle. At the same time, and he can de-shove waves anyway. So even if you lose these objectives, you still have some semblance of map control almost. They will smoke up now though.
They will.
Tower is under attack.
Run through the Radiant jungle they go. Lines being drawn out towards a diode triangle. Watson is around. He's the primary target. And they've spotted him underneath some visions. They pop the drums, they are rushing behind. Warcry and all, Watson still farming that triangle, not realizing they're right behind him though. He had the Lincolns up, so he's fine. Force, no, he'll get the lasso. They saved it for this moment. Watson, can he fight back? He's going for the TP out and he's gonna make it out. They can't stop him. Meanwhile, Narman's the one to go down to Stormstormer. Now that's demoralizing.
It is. It's not the happiest time. At the least. He still got the lasso through BKB, but that Static Storm just messed him up. Scam just couldn't really do as much, although he did already pop meta, but there was no follow-through control. And at the least he forced that 9-second BKB out, so you are getting some resources expended here from Entity, but I don't know, you're just not winning yet on the side of Geek Slate. Once you have this Hex up on Cox, it gets a little bit better though. But Roshan's already been taken again by Entity. Doesn't take too long with the output they have. Rosh number 2 going their way. And Geek Slate just don't have control in the area. They surrender that control. They're gonna have to face off with 2 lives on Watson. And that's easier said than done. I don't really know if you have the follow-through control once Lasso is expended to really kite that lean and keep her in one spot there.
Well, top tier 1 tower is going to be targeted now by Entity.
Dire's turret has been killed.
Aegis up, so a lot more confidence on their side of things as they can just go for the top tier 2 if they really want as well. Nothing really hold them back. I mean, Geek Slate, they're going to try and push down the bottom tier 2 tower. Like,
Dire's bottom tower.
it's all they can really do because they don't want the team fight. So many spells down as well for themselves. So tier 2s to drop. The net worth advantage going up to roughly 6k for Entity now. 5-6k, just bouncing around between those 2 numbers.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yep, that'll be pretty much it. They don't get the tier 2 bottom tower on the side of Geek Slate. They just kind of backed off before the defense came in. Scam is still top of the net worth board in the TB, but you know, that's about all that's playing right now. Yeah,
it's not wide enough to have like one major item on top of the Lina. You can still play around, and you have your own fresh BKB now, so Scam should be a lot more confident in the middle of these team fights. And maybe at some point this Ultra Farm pays off for Geek Slate. You've got Octarine on Cox. He's going for a Hex. He'll probably have Hex before he gets a Spirit Vessel charge as well. I think we have probably broken a record for the longest time with no charges for Cox. Like, this has to be the most passive Coddle game I've seen yet. Oh, that we've seen actually here, Monkey. And for Entity, you're happy about that. You really are just pleased about this game. Like, you don't need to take risks. You're farming. You're in your lane. You're on cruise control. The side of Geek Slate are just hoping they're like a ticking time bomb. They've got the BKB up in Toby, so the only thing to cancel now is like a stolen black hole from Narman. If he can get that off, if he's in the right position, easier said than done. BKB up for Force as well. So they've got some answers for the Bat Rider to get in there. But yeah, I mean, you've got the Shard up on Raji. It's a +6 armor on top with a Warcry active armor as well. And that nearly adds half the armor back to Terrorblade. So he really shouldn't melt in the middle of these fights outside of the magic damage coming through here. But they're just gonna play this farm. I mean, you do want to dodge the Lina while Aegis is up, but Entity is also just opting to build up here. Ah.
I mean, just
You know-
mid to tell. What is it, Jonathan?
It takes me back to
Dire's bottom tower
Entity
is under
RNG.
attack.
Ah, yes, that was a game.
I don't think we'll beat that here, but
Nah,
does feel like it.
I hope not, John. Tatami.
Oh, here we go.
What out?
A charge! He got a charge!
Oh, he's got a spirit vessel charge. He's got 2 of them.
31
Look
minutes,
outside
40
they got.
seconds.
GEEK SLATE, they just started rushing like we've got the vessel charges, boys. Let's go.
Oh!
Fishman, go drop the static storm. Just to try and get away. Applause out from force. This is where the game changes for everyone, John. Cox has got 2 spirit vessel charges.
It's the beginning. It's the beginning of something new, Mike. It's exactly that, taking us all the way back to High School Musical, I think. It's not gonna do much, to be fair. It's the beginning of something new. Isn't that a High School Musical song? Did you not watch High School Musical, Mike?
Why did you watch it?
Because it was literally everyone watched in my high school, to be fair. I don't know why. Then again, maybe it was just because of my class. We had a disproportionate amount of girls in our class, so it was it's an interesting place to grow. It's fun. It's fun, to be fair. No, I enjoyed it. It's a nice time.
bet it was,
Middle
John.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's the honors class.
Radiant's
Oh, the
middle
honors
tower
class.
has fallen.
Yeah. Yeah. Look how that worked
so
out for me,
smart.
Mikey.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here with you at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
What a blessing, Mike.
5 to 10. 7k advantage now for Entity. Back to farming it is for both these two teams, as neither one really wants to engage in a huge team fight unless it's on their terms. I mean, Aegis is expiring in 10 seconds, so that's a bit of a loss here for Entity, as they don't really find any value out of it. Meanwhile, GEEK SLATE should know this. So they group up. There goes the Aegis. Maybe a smoke to come out from GEEK SLATE. Though it doesn't seem like they're holding one right now, to be fair, so no smoke to come out.
And they heard you, though.
Could just literally...
Rock.
What is it, John?
They bought the smoke in Armin. They heard you. They heard you demand for it.
I mean, they could just rush into the dyed triangle if they really wanted to.
I mean, really, Mike? Do you think they do that after all this time? I don't think they'd want to. No. We have to accept. We are at 5 to 10, 34 minutes in. They do not want to fight, Mickey. Let's accept this reality. All right?
Yeah.
The first step to moving on, Mike, is acceptance. Accept. We accept. We go through the denial phase, which is when we were hyping this up. Now we're at acceptance. We're here. We're going to hit 60 minutes. We're going to hit 90 minutes. We're going to hit 120 minutes. And we're not going to be sure about what's going to happen then. But we'll be glad it happened, Mike.
That's not very reassuring, John.
You know it could happen too. You know this lineup could stall.
Yeah, it certainly can. Mid lane, they are looking at Stormer right now. It is kind of hard for Force to jump in, considering how many Lincolns there are available on Entity, but Stormer does not have one. They'll just occupy the die triangle. Same thing will happen on the side of Entity. They'll just occupy the other side of the dire jungle, and they're just waiting for Roshan again. There is a bit of a push happening down to the bottom tier 3 tower, though. The TB illusion is getting rid of all the creep waves.
Dire's middle tower
That
is
could
under
force rotations, but GEEK SLATE immediately move all their heroes back to the base. All of them TP back to base.
Dire's bottom
Yeah.
tower is under attack.
Maybe just a little bit worried that they'll go for a smoke play themselves here.
Radiant are scared.
On the high ground.
It seems like they were thinking there was a push coming from Entity, but there was nothing.
Alright, they've gotten into their heads a little bit. Like, we talked about what happened in game 1, now they're just ultra defensive in their line of thought. I thought they'd switch to a more aggressive game. They just doubled down on defense. They're like, well, guys, we just didn't read their movement out. You know, we didn't see them jumping us. Now we'll see them everywhere. They're in the trees, they're in the shadows, they're in the river. They're everywhere. Let's just play it safe. It's like they got some sort of PTSD from that last game. It's a bit rough.
Perhaps. Double damage rune. Watson.
Oh.
Oh, Skem's got it. Skem has got it.
Okay. Cool. Back to farming.
Yeah, doesn't do much.
I mean, if they had a smoke, you know, instead of smoking high ground there, this is where it could go in.
I mean, Roshan could spawn in like 5 seconds. It could be an instant respawn.
True. That would be spicy. No.
It's not.
No. Hey, go to hell, Mike. You hyped me up for a fraction of a second there. You ever wonder, you know, I feel like you love to talk about secondary objectives in Dota. I feel like at some point, these ancients are supposed to be ultra powerful beings, right, that we're defending.
Right.
Why can't they do something? Why don't they do something? Like, let them do something, please. Like a new glyph that acts as an offense thing. Yeah, you know, that sounds good lore-wise. I'm okay with that.
That's a good
Great idea, John. Yeah. I like that idea, John. You're going places, John. Oh, I know. Thank you.
John, stop it.
You see, it's been long enough that the medication's wearing off, Mikey. Yeah, the medication's wearing off. I'm starting to twitch really badly here, Mike.
Oh, I can feel it, John. Oh, Anthony. Almost at the stage now where Watson has a Satanic coming out. Just gonna buy it outright by the looks of it. Skem trying to save for buyback gold at the moment. Doesn't really have it. Definitely wants it for the next fight, but here's a 5-man smoke. It could be, because there's no buyback on Skem. So if he dies right now, and they start pushing high ground, it's going to be a lot lost, but it's a long wraparound. They're going right through the back.
No.
Uh-oh. Wrong way. Cox's courier. They're waiting for Cox to buy something on his courier, it seems.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Cox is not buying out.
No, they've just break the smoke. That's it.
Dire's middle tower is under
That was exciting for a good 10 seconds. Oh, you gotta appreciate these moments when they come out, Mike. You don't know when they'll happen again. No, I'm glad.
Roshan's up. Roshan's up. This is when it happens, John.
Are we sure? Maybe. Maybe not. Happy little accidents happen.
GEEK SLATE has to fight. They can't let Roshan go.
Do they?
Yes.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't let it go. But they're gonna have to fight into Toby with BKB, so positioning for Armin has to be on point here. If that black hole goes off, all the EHP in the world won't save Skem from that damage. A lot of pings. A lot of furious pings.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So Anthony know Roshan's up because the Eidolon scattered it out, and GEEK SLATE should know Roshan's probably up because of the timing. Sight device now available on Cox, but he does not have buyback gold available, so he's all in. Yeah, this Roshan going to be extremely important. Aghanim set the blessing available on it as well. It's GEEK SLATE. Without a smoke, they're just trying to do the old-fashioned way and just sneak around, hoping there's no vision around for the side of Entity. Making their way over to that dire jungle, or rather dire triangle. Meanwhile, Entity are setting up wards for the Roshan attempt. GEEK SLATE back off once again from that dire triangle. Back towards the mid lane they go.
Yeah. So,
Illusion coming through. Roshan's gonna get stunned. Flamebreak is gonna reveal Watson in the Roshan pit. He'll just go back for the Roshan for a moment, but these TB illusions need to be cleared up before they can keep going. It's a very fast Roshan. Problem is they aren't just allowed to sit there and attack it. Watson will move back in now. He will just commit all the way. Light Strike Array is there. They're trying to make it as hard as possible, but Aegis is going to go the way of Watson. He just picks everything up. I don't believe Force got anything. They do get a disruptor for their trouble, but that's it. That is literally it. Watson, yeah, he took everything. He got the Aegis shards and the Aegis blessing on the Lina.
Yeah. It's gonna be really happy with that one. Wonder who they pass the Ags through. Probably just give it to the Disruptor. Right? Like, surely that's your big play. I don't mind it too much on the Enigma either, because of the pull. I think it actually makes it really hard for the Rubik to find his counterplay there. So either option is good for Watson to pass it on to. Side of GEEK SLATE, get a push out of that though. Like, they commit the Metamorphosis, they go in, they take it to you 2, so they're evening out map control a bit. It's actually pretty big to maintain that equilibrium in this game. And somehow Entity loses 2k worth of gold. No, they suddenly gain 6. Oh, that's off just eating the Ags here. We did eat it, actually. Yeah, they go with Toby. So you have the pullback now in the black hole. Even more damage, HP scaling damage. That's one really good solution towards Schem as well. If they even need to use the black hole, because we've seen it like once or twice. In the series, mind you. I think we've seen it 3 times in the series.
Black hole was a solo black hole down a bot lane literally about 25-30 minutes ago. That's how long it's been.
And we should be glad it happened, Mike. Be happy with these happy little accidents. You know what? I saw something in chat. I have to raise this up. I know why Geek Slate are playing this way. They're making it so the C fans, you know, they can relax a bit. It's late.
Yeah.
They feel a bit drowsy, you know, just get them tuckered in. Relax, guys. It's a game of Dota.
Here we go.
Stuff's falling.
They're onto the high ground.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Tier 3 tower almost down, but you kind of pointed this out earlier. Like, you're against a Coddle. Coddle Rubik, it's going to make it impossible to go high ground. They've had enough. Bye-bye. We're out of here. It was too hard. They glyphed. There was illuminates flying through. Our creep wave couldn't survive. We're out of here.
Yeah. Just back off.
Kathomi, he hasn't backed off though. Force. Oh, nice Lotus Orb. I'm going to waste the lasso here of Force. Still, they are going to try and chase down Kanaomi. They've got the Hex out. Problem is, Force is melting to the damage of Watson. So it's a decent trade to go the way of Entity. Kanaomi has buyback anyway, where Force does not. Can they capitalize? Can they go high ground off this? Maybe finish off the tier 3 tower.
They've seen the BKB and Metamorphosis commitment out from Schem. They know they've got a window here. There shouldn't be too much to be scared of, but the creep wave will just be constantly blasted away, although you've got the output on Watson now. Oh,
what, Watson?
Oh.
Watson literally just walked in, but Toby's in. He's got the black hole. Narman tried to steal it, but it is not going to be enough. He had the Lincolns going, though. Schem somehow survives. But the Aegis expires, or rather Watson loses it. So Watson, he'll stick around anyway with the BKB to finish off that tier 3 tower.
What?
Schem gets clipped back.
Oh.
Yeah, complete chaos. Black hole has been stolen. But how long did Toby wait to use another spell?
What's happening?
He stole black hole. But Toby just never used another spell.
They take the racks, but now you have to be scared of the threat of black hole.
He literally didn't use another spell for however long the Lincoln's duration, or rather the spell still was. So for 12 seconds, he didn't use anything after black hole.
Let's be fair here, Mike. We've had 19 kills. Sometimes you forget what exactly is happening in the game when you're stalled out that much. So, you know, I don't completely blame Toby for that. Oh, I mean, it's still not the best thing in the world, but it happens. Smoke out.
I mean, it might
this is risky. This is risky from Schem, though. If he dies here, and that's a dieback. He does have BKB Metamorphosis ready, though, but they need an angle. It looks like after 45 minutes, they still can't find one. Maybe need to get a protractor out. Look for those angles where you can. Geometry.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. Butterfly now up on Schem. He's just completely buying out here on the Terrorblade. No messing about.
I mean, we are seeing the answers, right? In the core-to-core matchup, the TB does melt the Lina. Yes, Mikey.
With the way this game's gone, it's not like they have to really fear Black Hole of Narman, because it's going to expire anyway. Like, that was
That's
the
right.
first team fight in like 25-30 minutes, John. Like, this Black Hole's not going to last anyway.
No, absolutely isn't. Like, you are perfectly right. This is just
Narman
not
should literally just go Black Hole the creep wave. Just go Black Hole that creep wave right now.
Yeah, just do something with it. We know it's not going to be there. Narman, you know that this is just not going to happen. I mean, it could. He is going for Ags. You know what? Let's go. Narman, Ags? This is where it gets spicy. Maybe. We said that about a lot of items, Mike. It has not gotten spicy. But it could. MKB
now
could get spicy.
Yeah. Immediate counter towards the Butterfly Schem just pull.
Yeah. It's a good way of just kind of getting some additional damage that doesn't care for all the armor and EHP of Schem. Like, the magic damage is still really effective here. That's actually a pretty big part in boosting his DPS for the core-to-core matchup. Good side of Geek Slate. I'm just wondering about Raji and Narman and the torture they subject themselves to, especially Narman. I'm just wondering. Just going into a 3 Filipino team from a 4 Indo team, and this is what happens on his LAN. This is what happens when he goes to a LAN. Like, what? He's got Ags. So yeah, steal some spells, Narman. Get some joy. There's the smoke. Will they find anything? Maybe.
Mid lane Entity trying to use Stormstormer as bait.
Is under attack.
The Roshan's still a while away from respawning. Entity might just wait for it, honestly. Like they're in the Roshan pit, but they know it's not going to spawn anytime soon.
I like what Watson's queued up. He's just going for clarity. This is the play. At this point in the game, mentally, you're gonna need some clarity in your life.
Yeah.
This is where the questions come out, Mike. Clear up your mind. Stay in a Zen state. Zen state. This is Dota. This is peak Dota. This farm.
Windmaker is now up on Cox. I do love the fact that Cox still has, like, I know he had the vessel charges earlier, but there is no vessel charges right now. I feel like at this point you've just got to get rid of that damn thing. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, just sell.
Sell it.
It's literally useless now. Like, the BKBs are there, the spells are in hand, Lotus Orb, Urgent Greaves. Like, yeah, you're not gonna get value. He will sell it for the end disc, I'm sure. And they are actually shoving in tier 3 bot. Like, the damage these illusions do is pretty incredible for just having illusion spam out.
Bottom tower is under
So you
attack.
know what? They could even out the game. They could actually even out the game. Just with the illusions. They are actually evening out the game.
Dire's
They are. Entity are hanging around.
Dire's bottom
They're
barracks
waiting
are
for an
under
early Roshan timer, John. They're hoping for early Roshan. It's in 28 seconds.
bottom barracks.
So there's that. They also got a
Oh, they've
double
got the
damage, by the
refresh.
way, on Watson.
Refresh up on Toby, so he can throw at least one black hole out.
But they actually gave a Rax away. I can't believe that.
I thought, yeah, these illusions hit so hard. They hit so
Yeah, I
damn
know,
hard.
but I'm saying they let the illusions just hit the racks for free.
Are under attack.
And because
Nobody
they have
was
to watch
there.
Rush. They have to watch out of Rush, like you said, Mike. You were right. And then they backed off from Rush, but they have the Eidolon in anyway. They could have just had the Eidolon in, though.
I'm not saying they had to watch Roche, John. I said they were watching Roche. Now Roche is up. Now they can literally watch Roche. Because it's there. Watson will show himself. With a double damage rune, they'll get started. Geek Slate know this is happening. They want to fight this one. There's 4 items on Roshan. Watson cannot carry all of them. He's only got 2 slots in the backpack right now. Jump is there. Who have they got? It's going to be Kataomi, but they're backing off again. Geek Slate, do they want to fight? Force trying to rush forward.
Oh,
There's an
the
axe.
X!
There's a refresher chart. He's got a couple of them. The Aegis will go the way of Entity, but Force, he gets away with 3 items. He's got refresher shard, Ags, and cheese on the Bat Rider.
Ooh, that's pretty big. Who is he gonna give Ags to? It looks like they drop it in the base. Force does actually make that worthwhile. Maybe just hand the Ags over to Skem at this point? Yeah, pretty much just have that second Metamorphosis up, have the Terror Wave, have some Fear on hand. I would have actually said that Bat Rider Ags would have been better, and he does eat it. He eats it in the end, gets approval from the team, double lasso ready. They've just got to land it. Remember, with double lasso, the secondary lasso target, I don't believe Lincoln's blocks that. But now you have the Ags and Fishman as well. So you've got ways of just taking control of these fights on Entity. Their team fight's just a lot stronger. They're going to be able to commit with this Aegis here.
Well, Force missing out on the initial lasso. Doesn't want to pop it onto the Lotus Orb of Watson.
He didn't expect the Lincolns to be in the backpack. He actually didn't expect the Lincolns in the backpack. Oh my god.
No.
Watson swapped out the Lincolns in the backpack. And he didn't expect it. He could have lassoed. But no, he didn't. Who does that? What the hell, Watson?
Smoker.
Radiant are
5-man smoke here from Geek Slate. They're going to wrap around through that Radiant jungle.
Gift from the
Also pop the drums immediately. Fishman has been spotted on the Disruptor. That's where our lasso is going. Fishman, he'll still drop the Static Storm. Try for the TP
No.
out, but will not make it. He will go down. Static Storm was taken by Narman, by the way. He's got Klim Static Storm, so right now he's Disruptor. Narman is the Disruptor.
Yeah, and he has the Ags, so he's got the Ag Static Storm muting as well. That's pretty major, although when I mouse over it, it says no Aghanim upgrade found. I'm pretty sure that's just a textual bug. But this is actually huge. GEEK Slate, if they get a good use of the Static Storm, that is their ticket into the high ground. That's their ticket to cleaning up this bot set of racks and taking more. 11k behind, and the game is still kind of in a deadlock here. Look at Raji, Mike. We never mentioned this. He skipped God Strength because he's the support. Went in on the stats.
Yeah.
And he has level 2 Great Cleave. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just always interesting to see.
The Great Cleave is where it confuses me. Like, why did you go Great Cleave? Like,
because he's maxed out in stats. It's like, what is God Strength gonna do for me? You know what? I'll just farm with a Cleave. It has 100% uptime compared to God Strength. I will farm.
Very true.
At some point. Maybe.
Highly unlikely.
You ever wonder if the ancients have like a narrative in their head? They're like, they see what happens in the game, they're just wondering why. Why are you guys doing this? Guys.
There's a 4-man smoke up, Jonathan. Entity's trying to move forward. Will they see Scam? Scam? He sees them, Watson. Not going to be able to catch him yet. Scam on the run. Should be okay. Kataomi, do you have detection? No, they do see him. They've got Scam on the Terrorblade, but the Static Storm stolen by Narman will be dropped down. Scam is still trying to fight with the Laguna. It's a lot of damage being dealt away at the TB, but he's still running away. In fact, now the Sunder, Stormer, he's the one in danger, trying to heal up. He's going to be alright for now. The Black Hole, it does come out, but what a completely chaotic team fight. Watson now might be the one in trouble. Needing to back, no, he goes for the man fight. Scam, he does eventually drop, but he has buyback.
Radiant's top tower.
What the hell is that? What a mess.
He's so close to finding at least one life up, but don't manage to do anything.
Kataomi, that's a nice avalanche. He's found at least one, and that's going to be Raji. Raji will die back. They can go for more now. Problem is they might lose Kataomi, but he's still trying to run himself. Meanwhile, Scam, he does take down Toby, but now he's in danger. Watson going for the kill, but no detection. Sunder, it comes out. They'll hex him up. They've got the Lina this time around, but Watson, he'll keep fighting because he has a secondary life with the Aegis. Still chasing down Scam. He doesn't seem to care. But now he's underneath the T4 towers. He's going to be a little bit careful. Oh, that was the flicker. It was an unlucky flicker there from Watson. It won't matter though. He'll go back after the tier 3 tower. He may need to be careful. He's very low on HP at the moment.
Middle tower is under attack.
They're fine. They find some punishment in GEEK Slate in that defense, but they aren't able to clean up the Lina. The core matchup now is just super dicey. Like, yes, you can still handle it as Scam, but it's not a vacuum. There's a lot of spells flying out. The teamfight control is there. The Black Hole. If you don't steal that with Narman, then you just don't have an answer. The Wind Waker can stall for some time, but not enough. With a follow-through being there as well. You just go back in. No creep wave yet, though.
Mid-rack's under siege now. Very quick here from Watson. GEEK Slate. They're the ones that need to find a way to fight back here. So break the Lincolns, but the immediate Lotus Orb comes out on Watson. An Entity, it doesn't seem like they want to stick around too much longer. Already on their way out. Watson just casually holding on to 10k gold right now on the Lina. 8k gold on Stormer. I mean, how many games do Entity have like this? Well, I swear every time we cast Entity, they have these kind of games where everyone's just holding 10k gold.
Yeah. Again, I go back to TI, where we had that amazing game. At least we had some moments there. I mean, we had some moments, you know. We had the portal into the Ancient, you know. That was twice, which was a bit desperate from RNG, but, you know, they had to do what they had to do. We don't have that option here, Mike, unfortunately. And what I want to see from GEEK Slate now is really just the Ags for Scam. That Terror Wave is massive. I mean, they gave the Ags to Force, but he's not really able to get double lasso off onto anyone. He will go for the refresh next. The gold's not too far off, it looks like, at the least. So, once that's up and running, you should be able to provide more for the team. 25k net worth lead for Entity. 56 minutes in. Neutrals will be coming out. Will we have a Giant Cox? Who knows? I don't think he's going to pick up the Giant's Ring anyway, but the Giant Cox sounds good.
It does. Yeah, we are getting to that. I mean, we are just going to wait for tier 5 items, surely, at this point.
No. We're waiting for next rush, to be specific here, Mikey.
Yeah, obviously,
That's,
Jonathan. You get my
treat
point.
of life.
I mean, to be fair, though, Roshan may respawn before the tier 5 item timer.
Yeah. Oh? A smoke? Could this be it?
Possibly. Wrap around through the top lane. Kataomi's around the corner. Oh, just break the smoke. Not quite. Geek Slate still hanging around. A bit afraid to go to that high ground though. As Entity are just waiting in the wake. Oh, Watson, he's TP'd in the top lane. Lincoln's broken by the lasso. Force, in fact, it wasn't even the lasso. It was the Force staff. But they can't get in range for the lasso any longer. Force needs to run. He'll refresh just so he can BKB and get away. Another mess of an engagement. Watson buys a refresher orb himself now. But he has a recipe on the courier. Here we go. Yep. I told you, John, they want to finish this game before 60 minutes. It's always the case with these pro plays.
No.
Never mind.
Yeah. Oh. You told me what, Mikey? What did you tell me? I didn't hear you properly over the sound of silence here.
Don't worry about it, John. Don't worry about it.
Roshan about a minute away. A refresh out now as well for Stormer. For Geek Slate. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, Mike. I'm actually at a complete loss. Do you ever wonder if the Ancients ever yell at their heroes? They're like, what are you guys doing? You know?
No.
Why are you doing this? Why aren't you killing the other Ancient? Why aren't you killing each other? Why are you killing these creeps? I am the Ancient. I wage this perpetual war. You must wage this war. Not farm.
1 minute away. 1 minute from those tier 5 items, 10 seconds from Roshan, Jonathan. And once again, Entity gonna have first dibs on Roshan.
I mean, they are the aggressors. They're the ones in control of the game, so they've got control of the map. So they've got control of Roche. So they will take Roche. The Ags this time, who would you hand it over to? Honestly, just give it to Kataomi at this point. Pre-volley is pretty legit. If not, Stormer for a much faster push. No contention coming out from Geek Slate. They did have vision, but they understand they just can't fight. Kataomi will take the eggs, so we've got the tree volley on. 32k deficit for the side of Geek Slate. They've got to do something on the high ground. If Skem just dies randomly, that's it.
I just looked at the kill score. It's 10 to 16. 60 minutes in.
You know the saddest thing, like, this isn't the slowest game we've seen. We had F10k at 40 minutes, so this isn't as bad as it gets. Yeah, that's Talon versus Polaris as well. Good old Force.
Here we go.
Oh.
Rogi, he's gonna get spotted here by Stormer. That's Naomi's there as well. Skem gonna try for the TP out with the BKB. The damage not gonna be enough, but they've got Rogi. Here we go. Tier 5 items on the way. Book of Shadows gonna be the first one. That's a pretty garbage one if you ask me. But I guess it can be good.
They left it. That was...
Where is it?
Huh.
Wait, it's unknown. Where is it?
Huh? What? Black hole? Okay.
What?
Where is that damn thing? Where's this damnable Book of the Dead?
Giant's Ring. Oh, look at that, John. There's a giant.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And but he's sent it back to the base.
Where's the damn book?
Stormer. I don't know. Don't worry about it, John. It's lost. The book just disappeared into the ether.
'Cause I don't know. 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 I don't know.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
Who cares anyway? It's one of the worst ones. Nobody wants it.
It's actually useful here to stall you out. Like, basically just wait out, say, BKB saves someone from Black Hole. It's actually pretty decent in this case, not gonna lie.
Kataomi, he found force in the Batrider, toss back, Hex is there, he can't BKB in time, though he does get the Yules off with the Wind Waker, but the Black
Scam.
Hole's gonna hold them down. Scam also getting caught out, Scam is gonna melt, he'll buy back though. Plenty of buybacks available in this game. So the top Rex is under siege here. Entity not backing off yet. A Stormstormer once again going to jump in onto Narman this time around, but the Sunder is going to save the Rubik, but it forces Skem back. Meanwhile, the Lasso is out on Stormstormer, but they couldn't drag him back all the way. The Fountain is attacking, but he's taking literally no damage. Meanwhile, another Lasso. It's on the Disruptor though. It's just Fishman.
Oh no, Scam.
He's going after Skem. He just bought back Watson. He will get hexed up for a moment, but he's right back to work now. Problem is that kinetic field is holding him back, but he's onto the tier 4 towers. He's had enough. Can GEEK SLATE keep the defense up? That's one tier 4 tower gone. Age is still up for Watson. Jump in again. Force being caught out. Stormstormer moving in. Force trying to survive through it, but he just cannot. He is down. Stick is being placed as Kataomi now trying to get his way out. Cox trying to get the damage, but they call GG. They've had enough. 60, almost 60.
Radiant's middle
They
tower
call it.
victory.
Yeah, it's a... And they do get the sweep. The first sweep that we've seen, at least on this stream here, Mikey. And it